difference in my life. So one time I sat down and I was thinking of all the characters you meet during that time. And I'm sure Bob can join me in saying, geez, I really served with some characters in my day. In my tour in the Navy. And all of you surely have met someone that stood out in your life. So the one that I would like to discuss, and I think stands out mostly and perhaps made one of the biggest differences, was a chief petty officer who came aboard the USS Omaha in 1944. And I would like to try to give you a picture of what this individual looked like. He came aboard with a perfect chief's hat on, little debonair mustache, just trimmed to the T. And you look at him and you say, is this a movie star? Who the hell is he coming on here representing a movie company or something? He came aboard relieving the other chief that was sort of had been inconsequential in my life. But his name was C.J. Witham, real sharp looking, dressed sharp. I think he was about 5'7", or maybe 5 feet 9. And I said to myself, well, what is this guy going to be like? I mean, here I am, I was a first class. And he came aboard, and each day I would notice him, you know, and he would smoke one cigarette after the other, but he smoked what we call OPs. Other people's. He hardly ever had a cigarette, but he kept cigarettes going just by doing that. Lighting them one after the other. But this, when going to quarters and standing there and calling when they call your name out, answering and so on, he was the perfect chief petty officer. The junior medical officer would be there, and we'd be lined up, and we'd be given exercise, and then we'd be told what our functions were today, perhaps where we were going and so on, what we're going to be doing. And this chief, I kept my eye on him, and I said, maybe I'll be chief one day, and I'll be able to emulate this character, because I think he's a perfect chief. So we went on and just routinely, and I observed him, and I tried to pick up traits along the way. And so there was one time that I was, all the people were lying. Well, there were 3 incidents I want to tell you about. One was I had orders to leave the Omaha as a first class. But word came that it was time for examinations to be taken by all of the hands who were recommended for advancement in rating. And I was standing there in line, and I was expecting my name to be called. The junior medical officer was over here, and I was standing in line. And the junior medical officer read everybody's name in our division. You are recommended for advancement in rating, and you will be examined for same. Didn't call Richardson's name. I stood there, and this chief Witham, he turned to Dr. Jeter. Dr. Jeter, what about Richardson? He said, well, he's got orders to be transferred. He says, I don't think that should make any difference. Hasn't he worked for you? Hasn't he done his job? I've given him a 4.0. Well, I'll see Dr. Simpson and see what he says. He was a senior medical officer. So, a little later on, let me back up. Dr. Jeter, there was always a question about his feeling toward me, because while crossing the equator, which I had done and had the heck beat out of me, but everybody laughed at those who were being initiated, like climbing through vats of slop and stuff like that, and beaten with wet hoses. So when Dr. Jeter came down to the sick bay after going through this ritual of crossing the equator, becoming a shellback, I was laughing. So I just said, hey, I've been through it. So I was laughing, and Dr. Jeter looked at me and said, "It's not funny, Richardson. I says, uh-oh. Under this guy, I'm going no place. So I think that might have been a reason why later on he didn't recommend me. But anyway, he saw Dr. Simpson. Dr. Simpson, by all means, don't hold up. If he's aboard ship, he's entitled to an examination. So Dr. Jeter made up the chief's exam. At that time, they didn't come to Beauport. He made up the exam. And I was at the desk taking the exam that he made up. I really studied for it. And he was sitting behind me the whole time. And I turned it in, and sure enough, I passed. And so I was able to, before I left the ship, to put on my chief's uniform and walk back aft by my brother, you know, who was serving food, and he saw me, and so it made me feel pretty good. And he was very proud of me. So I went back and was living in his chief's quarters. Well, this chief who had stood up for me, now I probably wouldn't have made chief. I wouldn't have even been able to take the examination had it not been for this chief questioning him, because I certainly wouldn't have. So later on, living with this chief while he's smoking OPs and everything, and he also had sort of developed, I know this sounds like it's about me, but it's about the chief. He had developed a reputation of being one of the best checker players on this USS Omaha. So one day I was back there and I says, Chief Witham, I think maybe I could beat you playing checkers. And I had only one move, one way of moving on the checkerboard, but sometimes I'd win, sometimes I don't know why. But sometimes I'd win, sometimes I wouldn't. He said, well, let's get the checkerboard. Let's get it. But wait a minute. I'll play you under one circumstance, that if I win, I'll be the champ. And we're only going to have one game, and we're not going to mess around. We're going to move. We're not going to sit there with the hands on our chin. I mean, let's move. Let's get it going. Will you do that? Yeah, let's go, man. And sure enough, we started moving faster. Only God knows how I won. But this chief, he said, come, one more time. I said, no. I think we have decided who the champ is aboard. No more playing. And he picked up that checkerboard and just threw it across the chief's board. It was so bad. Now you would think this guy would hold a grudge against me for that. So, but he did borrow $75. So we were going in southern France, the southern France invasion. My brother Dio, your father, was up there on the guns. He had the earphones on. He was telling him when to fire. He's getting word from the quarterdeck when to fire and when not to fire. And he was, incidentally, while he was doing that, the guy on the port side just went crazy. So he had to take this side when we make this run, take that side when we make that run. Shoot both guns. But before we got there, $75 is a lot of money then.
Yeah.
And I was worried because not only having a brother up there and we're not knowing which part of the ship might be hit, if his side was hit, well, I'd still be alive and I could get my $75 back. If I was, my portion, my battle station was hit, $75 is gone. So I wouldn't have anything showing because he owed me the money. So I said, hey, Chief Witham, you know, I hate to ask you this, but, you know, we're going into battle here. You owe me $75. I said, what, got a cigarette? What do you want to do, Red? I'd appreciate if you let me have it until, you know, after we're through this invasion. He gave it to me. Put it on. Yeah, sure. He didn't hold that against me at all. Matter of fact, after that, we went into port over there, and where all the criminals. What's the island where all the criminals come from? Sicily.
Those are Italian stuff.
We went to Sorrento. So that individual had a great deal.
Just talking about my grandpappy now.
And not only that, wherever he is, incidentally, he broke out a picture of his girl.